Imagine a fictional city, a collision of two different cultures, accompanied by engaging landscapes find their way home, and yet to be recognized profoundly by the community. Many have put their attention on the infamous art style, and some might haven't got the chance to appreciate the less popular, more easily overlooked, but also equally important, the nature of the world itself. To put emphasis and justice to it, I considered to take more time to highlight the world that populated the map. I would like to show you how the game's map actually stands as one of the most compelling yet underappreciated racing game worlds so far. This is Need for Speed Unbound, and welcome to Lakeshore. The environment which populates the map is in fact not always so cartoonish. It is in fact the other way around. The surrounding roads and cities, some are deliberately made serious and dull in a good way. I would like to talk about it a little bit more, but first of all, need to know what lies as a foundation upon the in-game world's creation. Take Need for Speed Heat for example. Need for Speed Heat's Palm City is inspired from Miami. Need for Speed Payback's Fortune Valley is inspired from Las Vegas. In this game particularly, we take the journey a little bit up north to Chicago. Now there are some similarities within the real-world location and the in-game ones. There is the Navy Pier, lifting bridges and steel bridges, Millennium Park, the UIC, the Chinatown, and the harbors. In the suburban areas, there are neighborhoods, hills, ski resort, quarry, and even a real-life cemetery whose name coincidentally is the same name as one of the in-game areas. I'm sure there are a lot more areas that I have missed, but I hope you get the idea. Now enough about the real-world locations, let's start talking about what really lies inside the game, which is the world environment of the game itself. Now, to talk about the in-game world, it's more complex than we might think. The world actually succeeded in blending abstractive, creative, energetic involvement with existing robust, rigid, and almost old-fashioned nuance in the city and its outskirts, thanks to its skyscrapers, existing structures, buildings, settlements, mixed with arts, graffiti, and even meetups, which is what we will discuss later on. Now, I won't actually describe all the areas inside the game, but I'm very interested in some of these areas that I think describe the world pretty well. Let's start from the first one. Obviously, the city. What lies inside the city? There's the river bridges. As you can see, they move up and down, enabling players to jump to the other side while they're inclined. Kinda reminds me of a certain scene from a movie. To show the iconic historical commuting system inside the city, we have the L train, which is something that you can join the fun without having to climb the stairs. There's one thing I want to mention, which is the trains. The trains were modeled with graffiti to the sides of the frame, showing community involvement in the city. Pretty nice detail if you ask me. The in-game called Douglas Park, which is a reference to Millennium Park in the real world, has a particular structure that mimics the Cloud Gate. And of course, some say it's not a complete city without Chinatown. Closer to the lake, we have the City Pier. It's entertaining to be able to drift and lap around the fairground, whether around the base of the Ferris wheel or even the secluded parking lot below. Ever miss the mountainous roads from Initial D? Well, we got a glimpse of that particular toge feeling by taking the scenic route to Kennedy Drive, whether on the bridge above or the tight and continuous hairpins below. Looking down to the city resides the Siba Ski Resort, an exciting place to jump while enjoying the landscape from one of, if not the highest point in the map. Now take a nice ride out of the city and you will find yourself aside of Kennedy Test Track, which showed Porsche influence combined with, again, community involvement with the existence of graffitis and even a meetup nearby. If you like some off-road stuff, I recommend the quarry to get that hands-on experience. Next is the Jefferson Hills, which exists certain pipeline, storm drain, or whatever you want to call it, and it's tremendously fun to drive inside the drain. If you ask me, this would be the perfect place to hide from the cops. Nice one, EA. Sometimes it's not always colors and rainbows, which is the case for the industrial power plants and docks in the game. These areas showed the most seriousness compared to everything else in the game, in my opinion, which is a great balance. Then the game thought about this and decided to add a small town nearby called Edgewater to accommodate the settlements for nearby industrial workers. Up north resides the small town of North Oaks with an unmissable, unfinished bridge to jump from one section to the other. There is also a set of windmills in Yams Park and some random, unique, unpolished building, and also drivable to the top and to do laps on it. Ever miss the drivable lakes in Forza Horizon 4? Well, we got some here in Lakeshore as well. Lake Virgil, Belmont Lake, and other shallow bodies of water can provide just that. Also, ever miss the complex but fun junctions from Most Wanted 2005? The devs apparently missed them too and decided to put it on steroids and place this piece of noodle inside the game. Now, I would like to talk about something that I myself considered fresh and new concept compared to the previous installments, and that is meetups. Meetups are the place to participate in races, which gave meetups a strategic role, and being at the strategic place they are, almost all of them are staying relatively hidden. Granted, not fully drivable inside, but the location itself has succeeded in giving the feeling of laying low. Yet inside, there were blasting speakers, cars parked with ridiculous customizations, accompanied by characters wearing fashionable clothes, colorful backdrops. These players gave a superb, contrasted ambience compared to their surroundings. The game even deliberately tells you with a big text that says approaching meetup as soon as you get near one to emphasize this impression. Speaking of the impression, here are a few additions that boosted the artsiness of Lakeshore. We have street arts, billboards, and bears. Yes, bears. Another set of things that I find fresh is the pedestrians, which is something new to the franchise. Now, I noticed that they have different models, different gestures, and they are scattered everywhere, and some has even specific clothes depending on their work location, like the quarry or the construction areas. There's also a change in the safe houses, although from the outside and inside generally look the same except Rydell's rides. Still, they give an intricate feeling thanks to the compacted space inside. Some say that the safe houses in this game are a downgrade due to them not being as roomy and not being able to place own cars as a background display. I still find it enjoyable though, especially the AFK screen. Now, you might ask, what about the gameplay? Let me explain briefly. Personally, I think the city is tight, but not too much, leaving some open areas such as parks as room for error and avoiding patrolling cops. But on the other hand, there are a lot of obstacles such as parked cars and railway pillars. These can be a challenge but also at the same time serves as an advantage when evading the cops, since they had to face the same problem. Now to the outskirts of the city, on the other hand, most of the highways are long and wide, offering a place to stretch your car's engine, and mountainous areas offer sharp turns that are fun for drifting. Basically, all areas can be approached with both grip and drift, though I admit some locations bring authentic and specific response towards one style more than the other. Subsequently, some areas have clear differentiations. Some areas are separated by tunnels, highways, and bridges. The separation mixture makes the world more comprehensive and actually feels big in a good way. The addition of unorthodox routes are implemented in races, which gave players a sense of diversity and choice mid-race. To make the map more utilized, the devs added free roam events such as jumps, drift zones, speed runs, speed traps, and I personally perceive them as clues left by developers on what driving style should be implemented in order to fully maximize the environment. In addition, I would like to mention the recent update, which is the Volume 9 lockdown. It stimulated me to explore the city more. To conclude, EA has been known to develop various styles of games and experimented them in the previous Need for Speed titles. They might have gambled while developing Unbound, but for me, this is something fresh, a new gift for the community to explore and digest, and I personally found this enjoyable. Lakeshore is actually a great place to visit for the street racing ambience. This is one of the stronger points that Unbound has to offer. It's a shame to miss such an experience just because of something relatively trivial. I personally enjoyed the game with the included art style as it adds more contrast, but such obstacles could be minimized just by equipping the original or no effect if that's your preference. Gameplay wise, I feel like the devs have provided diverse places for diverse types of driving styles while not being too strict on them. Putting each temper at their own places, the world offers appropriate dullness where it needs to be and appropriate vibrance where it needs to be, challenges where it needs to be, freedom for mobility and exploration where it needs to be. Therefore, thanks to the unique combination of beautiful landscapes, modern and more advanced city structures collided with undeniably colorful sparks of culture, Unbound's Lakeshore is an innovation of concept rarely found in modern racing games. After all, the concept of Unbound is all about being boundless, not being captive by the system, which ambience and dualistic nature encapsulated well in Lakeshore. Lakeshore should make you enjoy your stay and surely will be remembered for years to come. If you like this video, consider subscribing so you don't miss out on the upcoming similar types of content. Bear in mind that everything that I have stated in this video is a personal take on the game. I would love to see your own thoughts about the game's world in the comment section below. Thank you, and I'll see you soon. Bye bye.